Oh, yeah. Fresh off the press. Oh, yeah. Does feminism include trans women? Female feminists versus anti-feminist. Oh, Lord. All right, let's get into it.
Pretty blank
Let's get it rocking and rolling. Let's get it rocking and rolling.
Saying feminists don't care about it, and you say you think that all women just are against men.
To answer your question, yeah, you're talking about women. Women are not all feminists.
Yeah.
Forward if you agree with the prompt. If you're a woman, you should be a feminist.
Oh, I would step forward on that. I understand why men don't do it, because it's like, oh God, I'm gonna be cringe. I don't want to be cringe. Oh God, I think women and men are equal, but like, I'm just gonna call myself an egalitarian. Oh, I'm so scared. Okay, I get it. I understand. Women, you have no excuse, bro. Like, come on.
I think the concept of anti-feminism is like counterintuitive as a woman. Like everyone should want equality of the sexes, you know? Everyone should want to have the same education level, the same all these things in a position and still make as much as a person who identifies as male.
In this society, we have to be feminists as women because there's certain things going on where our rights are being stripped away, and Black women, Black trans women are more likely to be murdered and attacked, and that's absolutely a feminist issue, and that's something that everyone should care about.
I mean, yeah. Also, I mean, this is the same way that like civil rights work, right? Like, just because you are someone who isn't hurt by like racism, it doesn't mean you shouldn't care about it. You should still have some like, I don't know, basic human empathy for like other people. I don't know, maybe the woke brain virus might have got to me, guys.
Men included should be feminists.
I think there are different brands of feminism, if you will, that don't represent what I think all of us here feel is the true ideal of what feminism
Absolutely.
is. At the end of the day, it's taking a look at patriarchal systems and seeing the flaws in those systems and how they negatively impact everyone.
Can the disagreeers step forward?
Define woman. Go, please. One of you.
No way! No fucking way! No fucking way, dude. They brought the fucking turf on? I hate this woman. I hate this woman. I hate her face. I hate everything about her. I don't know if anybody knows who this is. This is like Ariel Spaghetti or something. Yes, here we go. Her name is Ariel Skurselli. Whatever the fuck her name is, it's not even worth pronouncing correctly. Ariana Spaghetti. Yeah, that's her name. For anyone who doesn't know who this godforsaken evil woman is, she's like a lesbian who uses her entire platform to just be like exclusive against trans people. And as you can see, these are some incredible thumbnails. You can see here, use my preferred adjectives, bigot. Woke TikTok gets worse. I'm tri-gender, male, female, and non-binary. What? The new face of feminism, trans women unhinged. The pedo drag queens are at it again. Trauma made me transition. I miss my penis. So this should give you guys an idea. So anyone who hasn't run into this woman, she's just the worst type of person. They really put this woman on. Look, I am like so goated with the sauce chat. Instantly, they always bring on a actual conservative pundit who does this for money on the internet. And then they always come in with the most dumbass, bigoted shit. Instantly with the transphobia.
Define woman.
God, they think that they're so smart. Oh my God, it's so cringe.
Please, one of you.
A person who their internal idea of what they are is a woman.
Terrible.
Like, do you see what I mean? She's so non-charismatic. Define what a woman is. Go. Come on, any one of you. A woman is, well, when you're internal. No, wrong. Terrible definition. No. It's like, who was the judge in America's Got Talent that everyone hated? Simon? It's like she's trying to be Simon without realizing that nobody liked Simon. Like, he was the villain of that show.
Coming from a lesbian, that destroys the very concept of our sexual orientation. Just saying that it's an idea.
Why?
Why? You can't be connected and sexually attracted to somebody's brain.
Let's make sure to keep it to the prompt. If you're a woman, you should be a feminist.
Do you see that? Do you see how quickly she's like, first of all, she's completely off base. I don't know what the fuck she's talking about being attracted to someone's brain or not being attracted to someone's brain. That sounded like an insane self-report. Second of all, she's so excited to share her transphobia. She's completely off base on what the question is. She's sitting here debating transness, and the topic is about whether or not you should be a feminist as a woman.
I completely disagree. You know, exactly 2 years ago, if I had done this, I probably would be a feminist. But then I started to look at, and I think the agreeers actually mentioned is, like, what do Black women gain from feminism? Because I remember even during Black Lives Matter, when I led 2 protests for Black women, and I counted how many white women I saw there, and the ones who were there who were just there to take pictures for social media, and then the Black men also hiding behind us. Everyone, the whole world hides behind Black women. Enough.
Same thing that's happening. Look what's happening in Iran. I have a friend that is trans woman living in Iran right now. It's miserable. Nobody stands up for that poor girl.
What the fuck are you two people on about? Literally, what the fuck did both of the 2 previous people say? I am not one to ignore the reality that Black women, at least in the United States, in today's society, have it probably the hardest among any intersectional group. And when I say it's like the hardest, I mean specifically that society has such a preconceived notion about Black women. And because of that notion, Black women have to do so much more than Black men, and they have to do so much more than white women, and they have to do more than those like combined to be seen as equally competent. And that's not even mentioning the fact that like Black women in the United States, and I mean Black Americans in general, have to constantly make sure they never reach the same anger level that their white coworkers do. Like, you have to be so unbelievably patient. However, I disagree with this notion that there were, like, during the Black Lives Matter protests, that the only white people that went there were there just for pictures. There were a lot of white people that went to these protests. And a lot of them went because of the intersection that they saw. Like, a lot of the people that went were, like, anti-fascists. Like actual Antifa, because they saw that, you know, the dismantling of like the power structure that the police have, that's like a common goal, right? Obviously, anti-fascists think that the power that the state has is too strong. And obviously, Black Americans think that the power that police have over them is too strong. So that's an intersection where people can work together. Don't get me wrong. There are a lot of people who go to protests just literally for the clout, which is so weird to me. I don't know. But yeah, I do agree that I think that a lot of white liberals don't do enough.
Same thing that's happening. Look what's happening in Iran. People on the feminist side right now are not speaking up for those Iranian women. I have a friend that is trans woman living in Iran right now. It's miserable. Nobody stands up for that poor girl.
I hate that woman so much. I just despise her. She's so disingenuous. Like, what? So what was the point of your statement? That people don't care enough about Iran? Wait, then you're saying that no one is standing up for the trans woman in Iran? Like, what are you talking about? God, the trans thing is such a whataboutism all the time. Can we just discuss women's issues?
As a woman, I particularly think I'm a humanist. For example, 2 years ago, I was a raging feminist, and I made a decision to pivot my platform, teach Black women how to sit in our feminine energy, because we've never experienced that.
Well, that just sounds like Black feminism to me, teaching women how to do that in the time that we are in now.
But we're not learning fast enough. We deserve to rest, we deserve to relax, we deserve to choose if we want to be a traditional
Do you notice
wife.
the word choose? Do you hear the word choose there? Do you know what feminism gives you? Choices. What is so hard? What is so difficult to understand? I just don't understand what is so difficult for these people to get about being feminists.
If I went from law to being a CEO to now I just want to be a housewife, and every time I say that I get so much hate. Like,
I have literally never seen one person shit on women for choosing to stay at home. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just haven't seen it happen ever. Ever, 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 ever.
Work so hard to get to this point. Why do you want to be a housewife? Because
that's what you
my
want.
Choice.
That's what you want. That's the whole point.
Feminism is all about choice.
Exactly. Why can't I choose? That's the whole point of feminism.
What if no? Oh my God, this is like propaganda to make people hate women, dude.
What are you missing in America to claim that you are oppressed as a woman?
Well, we just had our rights to our own uteruses stripped away.
Well, the
by-
right to murder your own baby, though. I mean,
It's
let's
not
be
a
real.
baby. It's a.
I'm this close.
I mean, we all are clumps of cells right here.
We're all clumps of cells. Incredible.
I had a very, very hard time not stepping up to that prompt because my whole life I did consider myself a feminist. Seeing how this modern wave of feminism has now turned into something very different than equal rights. We all want equal, of course, we want equal rights. We want equality as women, of course.
But
we
how can you
are
have equal rights when you can't define the word woman on the far left?
I'm so mad. Why are you talking about the far left? Why are you talking about transness in the far left? Nobody is talking about this. Nobody, literally no one. Show me one person who asked. I would be so mad as one of these other women on this panel.
Alta had a Women's Day recently, and the Women's Day was celebrated by 2 trans women who still had their male parts. I mean, you're pushing women out of womanhood.
I'm sure we're going to have discussions about whether or not a trans woman is a woman, but I actually want to go back to how we feel that our ideal of feminism is probably.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it. It is the most like anthropomorphocentric. You guys know the word. It is the cringiest thing in the world. The most human-centric thing in the world to say that a penis is a male part. Anthropocentric, thank you. Like, please look at the animal kingdom. Please look at the animal kingdom. You will notice that many animal kingdom animals who are not male have penises. Have we talked about hyenas here? Have we talked about it? All female hyenas have functional penises that they use to mount and give birth. Like, penises are not, they don't have a gender. There are lots of animals that have crazy shit going on, okay? It's just a body part, all right? It's a body part that if you are a man, statistically speaking, you are significantly more likely to have a penis than anything else, but it's not a requirement for the gender, all right?
Not the way that you four think of feminism. I'm willing to bet.
I agree with that. I think that's why people like me stepped away from that. Not because we're not women empowered or believe in women empowerment.
It's because we are women empowered.
It's because we believe women empowerment means something different than what you guys believe in.
There's no wrong reason to get an abortion.
Oh my God. Look, she's such a fucking Weasley little fucking worm, dude. She's such a worm, bro. Look at her. She's like, oh no, the other women aren't stepping up. Okay, I'm gonna back up. Oh no, I'm the peer pressure. Oh, it's so embarrassing to be a conservative. Oh my God.
Okay. If you were making a health decision between you and a medical professional that is the right decision for you, your body, your future, it is always the right decision.
I would never stand between anyone with a uterus from making a decision about their body.
No, yeah, they're like, you can do it. You can have this health. You can have this health care if you are a victim of incest or a victim of rape. It's like you should be able to have access to that. What if you want it? You know, it's the same as going into the doctor and getting a routine check.
And yeah, I mean, I completely agree. By the way, chat, this woman is so AJ. She's so based. Like, I genuinely think that like the reality is until someone shows me evidence of like this big problem where like women are going and getting abortions for fun, it's just not happening. When it starts happening, I will care, but it's a non-issue right now. It's just not, it's not a problem. It's like the people who are like, you don't understand. Weed is a gateway drug and it's going to make you do heroin. And it's like, can you show me like evidence of this being a big problem? Because if anything, I know a lot of stoners who are stoners because they don't want to do other drugs. Weed is like the safest drug that still gives them a fun enough high that they don't feel like they need to go to other drugs. I have a friend of mine who was very addicted to, I think she said that she was addicted to benzos for a little bit. And now she is just like a really big stoner because she's like, I don't want to fuck up my brain and I don't want to take all this other shit that is not good for me. So I'm just going to be a stoner. I'm just going to get high. And anytime I want to do something else, I'm just going to get high. Cigarettes are literally worse than weed too, especially if like the way that you're consuming weed is that you're like eating edibles, because you're not causing like permanent damage to your lungs or permanent damage to your like mouth or anything because of smoking.
It's something for your body that you think will, you know, not just benefit you, but help you live and also help you sustain an actual good life for your child, then that's what you need to do.
And
yeah.
Financial is a huge thing too.
It is a huge thing.
It's an extremely huge financial responsibility to have a kid.
I agree and disagree. I'm definitely pro-choice. I'm probably the only anti-feminist that's pro-choice.
Being pro-choice, pro-abortion is actually very common. It's like 78% of Americans.
Okay, so yeah.
There's actually many people who are in your category.
To me, it makes sense in certain circumstances.
Dude, it makes me so happy that literally all the feminists know their shit so well, because it's completely fucking true. And it's the same shtick that like all of these like pseudo-centrist, like conservative people do. It's like, well, maybe I'm out of the norm here, but I just like to think for myself. And then when someone tells them like, actually, no, that's just the normal opinion, they're like, oh, well, I'm gonna pick a new opinion to have. It's really not. Can you please
I don't think people should be using abortion as a form of birth control. I think, to me, abortion's, believe it or not even the issue we need to be talking about.
We need to talk about trans people. I'm not obsessed, I swear.
We need to be talking about how to properly educate people, no matter what their status is, no matter what their sexual orientation, whatever. And we need to go from there.
Well, I think I have a very interesting perspective on this because my mother opened the first Planned Parenthood in our state, and she is very pro-abortion outwardly, but inwardly in our home, we weren't allowed to do it. And so growing up at that dichotomy really, I think, messed me up a lot because I was like, okay, which one is the truth?
That's weird, by the way, but at least like that's like the most base you can be as like a conservative parent.
There are wrong reasons to get an abortion. A wrong reason to get an abortion is if you are going through your pregnancy and all of a sudden you change your mind. If you are irresponsible and all of a sudden finding yourself scared of motherhood.
When people say that women are getting abortions because they just don't want to be pregnant anymore, they're not actually understanding the way that an abortion works. Most of the time they're talking about late-term abortions.
Which is like late-term abortions, I think like the percentage of people who get late-term abortions that do it for fun is 0%. And late-term abortions make up like less than 10% of all abortions. And usually those abortions are done because there is going to be a problem with like the child post-birth, or that there is going to be complications with the surgery, or complications with like childbirth that will make like the mother incapable of like living afterwards. Like usually that's the reason. It's like, oh, your baby is going to, unfortunately we've done all the scans, your baby's gonna maybe live for like an hour and then he's gonna pass. You can make the decision now to terminate it, or it's still your decision. And like in that instance, as like a mother, what do you do? Yeah, I'm gonna go through all of this extra pain and like continue to remain pregnant for like an additional month so that I can just be disappointed later. Like the kid is gonna die anyways, right? Like what the fuck? And then the other group of people who do it usually do it. What is it called? Because it's to save the mother's life, and that's it. That's literally it. Pew Research shows that 93% of abortions are in the first trimester, 6% are in the second trimester, and only 1% are past 21 weeks. Like, it's a non-issue. It's literally not an issue. Just think about it logically for 2 seconds. If you're unsure about whether or not you want to be pregnant and you're making a pro and cons list about it, like you're like, oh God, this, but this, chances are you're not going to make it to the fucking third trimester before making that decision, because pregnancy is a very uncomfortable thing to deal with. That's not a decision you're like, oh, I'll deal with this later. Like cleaning your closet, you're like, I'll deal with that in like 9 months. I'll deal with that later. You don't do that. Nobody does that for pregnancy. Most people who find out they're pregnant are either like, I'm going to spend the next week thinking about whether or not I want to keep this or not, or instantly go get an abortion. That's it. Once you are pregnant, that becomes like top of your priority list on like, what am I going to do about this?
What people don't realize is when you have that kind of abortion, you have to give birth to the fetus. There's no going back. You're literally giving birth to a body. It's never just a, whoop, I don't feel like being pregnant anymore. Guess these last 8 months I just wasted everything. No one's doing that.
Raising children is the most blessed gift. And
Oh my God. She's like straight out of Handmaid's Tale.
I speak as someone who, when I found out that I was expecting for the first time, I kid you not, I was terrified.
But you were prepared.
No, I was not necessarily prepared. I was not prepared. I had an incredible career happening for me on the upswing.
Finances.
Let me finish. I had such a dramatic, fearful reaction to becoming a mother because of what our society has been telling me throughout my adolescence and my early 20s, is that once you become a mother, it's all over and it ends. And that is a very, very deeply rooted problem in our society that I do think we need to address.
Huh. Maybe that's what like some dumb fuck men say. Because there are definitely a lot of men on the internet who have like convinced themselves that like once women hit 30, they hit the wall. You know, like women, they're 30 years old. Ew. Meanwhile, there's like anyone who's seen like a 30-year-old woman knows that that's not real. Like it's not real at all. Like there is not an expiration date on women. Like no normal people think this. It's just like incels on the internet that are like so fully deep into this rabbit hole. And that's them though. Like I have never met a single woman that has ever said like, yeah, well, once you have kids, it's all over for you. So make sure you don't have any kids ever. I was like, I think it's quite the contrary. I'm pretty sure society pressures women to like get like married and have kids and then like present as normal in society. I've heard that way more times than the other way around. And maybe my perspective is colored because like I've known parents who have gotten their education despite like having to take care of a fucking child. And I think you can do it. It's just really hard. That's all. It's literally just giving you informed consent. Hey, just so you know, if you do have a kid, you're going to need to dedicate a lot of time because children are resource-sucking creatures, right? Like they need something, they're sick, that has to be priority. There's something happening for their school, that has to be priority. They need like notebooks, that has to be priority. Like because they can't go out in the world and do anything. So they have to rely on you. That's how children work, right? Okay, let's go back to the video, guys.
What is the patriarchy?
What isn't the patriarchy? I feel like that's the better question.
It's a systemic ideal that favors masculinity, men,
Male power, male dominance.
the traditional idea of what a man is.
The patriarchy is a system that oppresses not just women, but everyone.
It's not patriarchy because the people who scared me so much were the women mom bloggers.
Just because it's coming from a woman.
Coming from women does not.
Oh my God, she's so two-head. The patriarchy does not mean men. The patriarchy does not directly translate to men. Men is defined one way, patriarchy is defined another way. It needs to be known. When people are discussing the patriarchy, they're not talking about when someone says the patriarchy is the reason why women feel a pressure to have kids. You can't substitute that and say men are the people that are pressuring women to have kids. No, that's not what that means. Patriarchy is just a social system that puts men at the top. And when you put men at the top, you also give them responsibilities that they are not capable or able to deal with because of all of like the negative repercussions. Right? So like if you make the statement that like, well, the patriarchy should exist because men should be at the helm of the power because this is usually what happens. People try and defend it. Oh, well, because women are less rational. Okay, you've already fucked up like 10 legal systems saying that. That is not a sustainable way. Because now by saying that, you've basically made it that like women are just less competent, which means you will charge them differently in the legal system. You will treat them differently in society. And then that also means that you constantly have to treat men as being more villainous. It's not how we're talking about a system. Okay. We're talking about a system that impacts people. We are not talking about people impacting people. Okay.
But these were no. These were the women, and I speak with really strong conviction about this. Mm-hmm. The women who are publicly outward speaking to other women through blogs, through social media, talking about my life is so hard because of my kids. Oh, my kids are jerks. Oh, life is this. I have no money. Those messages are very, very pervasive, and they're very.
Wait. So a woman making a TikTok about how her life is hard because she has kids is dangerous and toxic? That's just what being a parent is. What is going on? You think diapers are cheap? You think baby food is cheap? This damn inflation too. They are not cheap, man. I think people who want to give birth should be given informed consent on what that means. If you think that telling people, hey, this is all of the things that happen when you have a kid, I think it's better that people are off put by that. I think if we can have less bad parents out on the streets, that's a good thing. If you tell someone, hey, by the way, just so you know, having a kid is really expensive and you need to dedicate a lot of time and you need to be there for them and emotionally, and you need to make sure they're getting a good education. And that's the thing that makes the person say, I didn't know it was all that work. Fuck this. I'm not having a kid. Good.
Very dangerous, and they're toxic
But
to
they're
women.
also real parts of motherhood. We just discussed how motherhood.
How many of you are mothers here?
I am not a mother, but
Okay, I am a mother of 12 years. And I know all of the very, very hard parts of motherhood. From the bottom of my heart, wish that the positive aspects of motherhood supersede all of the hard stuff.
Let's get back on prompt. Reason to get
It's so annoying that the anti-feminists keep derailing the fucking conversations.
There's been so many points I want to talk
I was going
about.
to talk about Candace, maybe. Candace, what she says about.
I don't even know what she said.
Oh,
just let her talk.
sorry.
So my
She's like that. She's like feeding her lines. What?
parents actually had me when they were 19, and thank God they didn't abort me. They were not ready. They were in a terrible situation, and having me at 19 made them grow up and mature and become adults and not continue being on a bad path. So I'm thankful for that.
And what about all the people who wish that their parents did abort them? I didn't ask to be sentient. I did not ask for this. Are you kidding me? Who put the burden of living on me? These fuckers. I didn't ask for this shit. Oh my God. Do you know how terrible it is that I have to know that I'm being perceived at all times? Oh, and guess what? You can't abuse drugs because that's bad for your body. Oh, by the way, you can't eat fucking processed meat because that gives you cancer. Like, fuck you. Who did this to me? Also, there's microplastics and everything. Like, are you kidding me? This is what I have to do? You have to wipe your ass. Born to shit, forced to wipe, dude. Are you kidding me? This is cruel. My mom had me at 16. It fucked up both of our lives. We were almost homeless for a while. So stupid.
Yes, don't you think men benefit from women getting abortions because they no longer have to deal with it? They can just sleep around.
Do people know that feminism doesn't have to exclusively benefit women? In fact, good feminism benefits men just as much as it benefits women. I think, and this is my other opinion, by the way, chat. I think all men should be in favor of abortion. If I was a dude, I would be so pro-abortion. Holy dude. I'd be like, yes, dude, we need to make sure that people are not having these kids they don't want to have. If I had a pair of balls, I would get a vasectomy. I would get one as soon as possible because I know I am not ready for a child, and I know I do not want one, and I do not want to be told by someone, hey, by the way, I have your child. Okay, can you remove it? Because I don't want it. Like, no, dude.
If a woman gets pregnant, oh, she wants to abort it. Cool, now I'm off the hook.
Good. If I'm glad that there are men that have benefited from feminism, that have benefited from pro-choice laws. I'm glad that there are men who've been able to avoid children that they don't want. That's actually a good thing.
This word patriarchy, it does not make any sense to me. Women are not oppressed in America.
It's like none of them can define what patriarchy is. That's crazy. Do you remember the earlier part where I said you cannot substitute the word patriarchy for men? Because that's not how that works. It is a system that was put in place by men, and at the time it heavily benefited men in power specifically. And now we are at the point where we can start changing that system. Oh, hi.
The feminist movement is inherently racist.
What?
If we're talking historically, if we're talking how feminist movements started, it was an exclusionary movement.
Absolutely.
If we go back to the suffragettes or even further, Black women were not allowed to join in that effort because they really weren't.
But I mean, isn't like third wave and like fourth wave feminism pretty pro like the intersectionality stuff? I don't Like, I don't understand why we're discussing first wave feminism, which was like in the 60s today. That's weird.
Fighting for black women.
Until we were used as bullets.
Right.
If we're not being used, we can't be part of the movement.
They did use black women. They used black women's efforts because most of the most achievements that feminism, you're right, like most of the achievements of feminism have been done by black women, and white women have stepped in and taken the credit for like people who do identify.
I mean,
as
I
feminists,
agree with that, yeah.
especially those of us who are white. I think the most important thing for us to do is to sit down, shut up, and listen to black women.
As a black woman who identifies as a feminist, my work centers black women. So to say that, you know, of course, like white women were able to vote before black women. Like the feminist movement was inherently racist, but how I live my life and the way that the community that I've built around myself of black feminists, we see.
But why label it feminism?
Well,
why not
you can label it whatever you want, but
helping other black women.
I affirm you, and I
Don't
see
you
that the
think that's
semantics makes you uncomfortable because feminism was racist, but you
It
have
is
to,
still racist,
but you're not racist. So if you are not racist and you have issues that you want to be working towards for black women, that doesn't mean that you're inherently being racist or helping white women. I think feminism exists on a spectrum.
We were talking about semantics.
Fucking based. It's very simple. If you read about feminism, you read feminist literature, and you agree with the concept that like equal treatment of people regardless of how they present is a mandatory in society and it's non-negotiable, I don't see why you have to look at all these other people and be like, well, that's wrong. By that same rule, none of us are leftists because none of us agree on like what exactly leftism is. But the reality is that's not what movements aren't based on. Like, I agree with everything about you. Like, leftist can mean anything from like generally anti-capitalist to right before tanky. Like it is a wide spectrum, but we all agree on the basic tenets of leftism, which is, you know, workers probably deserve more. They deserve better treatment. Capitalism is a bad system that is not a meritocracy. And we should be aware of this, and we should, I'm sorry, Chad, I have to respond to something really quickly. I'm sorry, I'm getting sunlocked. Life itself is unfair. No feasible way to make everything equal. You know, this is actually the reason why I don't use a fridge, because everything, all organic matter, will eventually expire. So there's no reason to try and make things last longer. You know, I personally, like, milk is going to go bad eventually. So why would I put it in my fridge to make it slightly better for a month? I drink spoiled milk that I've left on my counter for a month like a real man. You know, just because things are not good doesn't mean we can't make them better. You can try and improve society while also recognizing that it's a very difficult task.
Ideologies change. Right. And I think that feminism is evolving and changing. And I think it's because of the work of people like you. And so that's why I can confidently say
it's evolving. It's not evolving. I think it's devolving. You know, I think third wave feminism, I mean, by all accounts, I see, you know, again, have a very powerful black mother, a very feminist black mother. And I've seen, I would never forget this as you know, she's battling cancer and I'm holding her hand in bed. And she's married to my dad, who's a very passive man. He's a professor, but very passive, and let her took the front. She waited for my dad to leave the room and said, maybe you can find a man to take care of you. And this is I'm sorry. My mom is like, she's like this thing that's bigger than life. She's so big, like untouchable, like, you know, like powerful, and no one could tell her. And just to see her weak, and her only regret now is that she never got to rest and she never met a man to take care of her.
Can I say something really quickly? Do these people know, like, okay, there's like so much to unpack. There's so much to unpack, okay? Any person that is dealing with a life-threatening illness is going to think about regrets in life, and they're going to discuss having had regrets in life, because that's what being near death does to you. I've had family members that have dealt with cancer. Luckily, they recovered. But when you're at that stage, it's very easy to do nothing but just think about what you've done with your life. And I'm going to take it even one step further and say, I think you experience a bit of grass is greener. when you're in positions like that, that like you are getting chemotherapy, you're probably feeling very bad and feeling very ill for long periods of time. You're on like a number of drugs. You can't do anything until you start recovering. It's not uncommon that you just spend all of your time in bed. And I think in that moment, it's very easy to have like the grass is greener on the other side. That like I dedicated my whole life to like this feminist movement, to this ordeal, and like to being like a powerful woman. But man, I wonder what it would have been like if I could have just like spent my time relaxing and just like existing in the system. Like maybe it wouldn't have been as effective and it wouldn't have helped as many people as it has helped now, but maybe it would have been better for me in this moment. You know what I mean? When you become for example, like a civil rights advocate, and you become a popular figure in the civil rights movement, you're giving up all of your personal life. You're giving up your personal privacy. I would not be surprised if like 30, 40 years down the line, Greta Thunberg has like a grass is greener moment where she's like, what if I just spent my time like a normal teenager? And I didn't spend all of this time trying to work to advocate for saving the planet, or trying to. And like now I have all of these people who like are constantly watching me. I have paparazzi on me, and I'm not allowed to switch randomly because then I'm going to be seen as like a fake activist, even though I do care about this. You're basically saying I'm not going to spend my free time doing things that make me happy. I'm going to spend my free time trying to improve society, you know? And I think that's all she was saying to her daughter. I think she was just saying, and obviously you guys can have different reads, but I think that's it. Keffals actually talked about this recently, where she didn't want to become the trans spokesperson. That's not what she wanted. She just wanted to take down this shitty website. And she's talked about it. I'm pretty sure that she has like a lot of trauma from everything, and it's even impeded her ability to like stream. She's basically said more or less that she's retired from that level of activism because it's just such a drain on you. Like it is not like easy to deal with. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if like this chick's mom was saying, I am fighting the real fight, but I don't want you to spend your whole life fighting the real fight because it'll be too hard for you. It'll be too hard on you. Like, I don't see what's wrong with that.
My dad is incredible in his own way, but she never experienced what it feels like to be a woman. After 40 years of fighting and being a feminist, you know, and she is now at her end. I mean, no one wants to say they did life wrong, but she's saying, man, I wish I could have taken care of myself. I wish I could have done this. I love how you get your hair done and you go get makeup done and you're so, and she says it, you know, like she wasn't there in the household to raise us, like back to motherhood, because she was gone.
I don't see the difference between like her saying this to her daughter and like, you know, like your dad telling you not to enlist in the army because he enlisted in the army. Like, sure, he got like this like manliness or whatever. And like, oh, look, you're like a vet and whatever. But like, it is not worth the trauma. Just go get an education. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see what the difference is. Like, it doesn't mean that you aren't allowed to be a feminist. It just means that she was saying she sacrificed her like temporary happiness.
When I scroll my own social media feed, I rarely see a powerful woman highlighted who is not an ethnicity.
What?
Yes.
No. It's true.
They're using them as pawns.
Yeah, using them as pawns.
Oh, 100%.
A lot of big brands are now hopping on this, you know, modern feminism bandwagon, which I don't agree with what modern feminism is. But a lot of brands now, and I'll just say Dove. Diversity is always a good thing. However, for years have not seen any kind of a ad campaign from the brand Dove speaking to women's empowerment that includes a woman that looks like us.
I can't. This woman is one step away from saying I want to scream the N-word. That's insane. When you actually like look up Dove commercials, they feature white women. That's really crazy that like they have Dove commercials with white women in them. Can we just talk about one other thing? Feminism is not what brands do. Like, brands literally only care about making money, and they will do anything that makes them money. That's the only thing that a company cares about. It is literally required if you operate in a capitalist country or a capitalist system and you work for a company, you are beholden to shareholders. And the only thing shareholders want is money and more money and more money and more money. That's it. They don't give a fuck about feminism. They don't give a fuck about conservatism. They don't give a fuck about liberalism. They don't care about any of that shit. And when they say that they care, that's just them trying to get your money.
Feminism today is lacking, I think, is genuine respect for diversity of opinion for all women.
The fact that you are allowed to share your dog shit, worthless, garbage opinion should be evidence of the fact that the feminist movement has given you the choice to be a dumb fuck on camera. You are literally an example of feminism allowing women to be just as dumb as men. It already exists, and you are literally the shining exhibit.
Well, I mean, the entire time everyone was talking, all I was thinking was, wow, I'm so sick of all these labels and all these different intersections.
Just go get brunch. Why are you here? Go pretend like nothing is wrong and fossil fuel isn't destroying the planet, and pretend like racism isn't real, and pretend like sexism isn't real. Just leave then. Go away.
Race keeps getting brought up. I know it was brought up in the prompt for this one, but in every single other one. And I don't even think about this. I don't even think that I'm not being represented even in ads. I don't care. It just does. I don't. Sure. I am me.
I'm clearly. Yeah, I'm sure you don't care.
You don't have to care.
Know that. You always know, feminists always know best for me. That's what I've noticed. It's a trend.
I mean, I'm just pointing out that you are a privileged white woman who has not had to see the lack of diversity. When we step into a room filled with other white people, we don't notice that it's other white people. But when women of color have stepped into rooms and they see that it's just a bunch of other white people.
Also, intersectionality is not just about diversity, and it's certainly not about diversity in ad campaigns.
Yes, spit it. Yes.
It's about how poor women can't afford to drive to another state to get an abortion, but rich women can.
It costs more money to drive to get an abortion than it would take to raise that kid?
Well,
Just saying.
but that's the thing, right? Like, if
that is such a privileged opinion to have. When people say poor women in this country can't afford to drive to another state, what they mean is they can't afford to miss a day of work and spend $100, $200 on gas and a procedure to go to a different state because their insurance doesn't cover procedures in other states. They don't have the hundreds of dollars that you need for abortions, and if you're not getting it in your state. You don't have the money for like a hotel afterwards. You don't have the money for all of that and gas. Like, no, dude. No, you don't have that. But you know what being pregnant does? It gives you time to try and figure out how you're going to afford this. So you're just going to have to deal with more expenses that are over time for a kid than like the 5, 6, 7, however many hundreds of dollars to go get the abortion right now.
you
That
have the
doesn't make
money
sense
to
to me.
drive to get an abortion, how are you going to have the money to raise that child?
Which is also a really great point, by the way. If someone doesn't have the money to get an abortion in another state, you really think forcing them to have that kid is a good idea? You think that's a smart idea?
All that men do for society.
What are these questions?
I mean, I've got a lot to say about this. I mean, feminists just demonize men. They hate men. All men are trash.
What is this straw man? Who are you fighting? Dude, what is this? What are these sweeping generalizations, dude?
Say they hate men while simultaneously trying to become men. They hate them for having power.
What?
In the patriarchy, so they're trying to overtake it. But a lot of women will talk about rape culture. But guess what? Guess who's going to protect you from bad people? A man.
Is it legal to be this dumb? I just want to know, is it legal? I just don't understand.
Women are nurturers. We need men.
It's as simple as that. It's a God-given right for men to exist the way they were assigned to exist. We need men. It's very simple. We need men.
Well, my religion says God thinks that men should be submissive whores. And it's, we need men to do that. What is your counter argument? Your God says something different. Well, that's nice. My God is better than your God. My God is cooler than your God. My God is smarter than your God. So I think I'm right. Like, you can't just invoke God. I fucking hate this shit.
provide. We need men to produce. We need men to go to war and die. We need
men to go to war and die. Oh my God. Wow, dude. Jesus. This is so fucked up to say. And she said it out loud. Whoa.
It's so bad now that men they're so scared of us. They're terrified all the time.
They are? That's kind of sexy though. Yo, for real? Where the scared men at? That shit kind of crazy.
Dates with men. They're like, am I allowed to open the door? Can I not open the door? Can I touch it? Can I pull the chair out? What can I do? And
I like how men are like these strong protectors that will like, oh, I can protect you, my woman. But they're also too afraid to open a door for a woman. They're brave enough to go die in a fucking war for oil, but they're also way too pussy to ask if they can open the door for you. And they're always shaking and sweating, but those are the people you want to send to war?
They're sweating, and you're just like, be yourself. Just, it's okay.
This is so mean. This is such a specific example. She went on a date with like a submissive guy, and she judged all men. That's so mean, dude. That's so mean. You went on a date with a guy who's a little nervous? That's so mean. That's so mean to make fun of him like that. You're a toxic person, bro.
Like, they're so afraid of doing anything wrong. So much so they're now the most lonely demographic in the world, right? Like, they straight white men, I heard, are not the most lonely because they just created incels. You know?
This lonely white men, they just created incels.
They don't want to leave their apartment or their house because they're so afraid of women.
I'm not. I don't really think it's that they are afraid of women. I think it's more like a combination of suburbia destroying community, cars destroying community, capitalism destroying community and promoting individualism, Reaganomics promoting individualism and meritocracy. And also, I would say, I think that the conservative message that like women and men are so like diametrically opposed, like we're just complete opposites, I think doesn't help. I think if most men just viewed women as like people, they would see that a lot of their problems just will go away. And I know it's probably hard to imagine, but like if you just see women as they're just other people, you will have way better luck in like the dating sphere. Like way better luck. And you're just like, yeah, okay, well, what do you like to do for fun? Oh, that's cool. I also like that. Like you just treat them like people. Like just pretend like you're on a date to go find a new friend. And that would be a better use of your time than anything else. Like this is just so stupid. This is so dumb.
Especially happening in schools right now. There is a trend where they are raising up the girls. Girl power, girl boss, girl this.
Girl power, girl boss, keep.
Run like a girl in the best way
You're
possible.
gonna make me vomit.
That's now it's dangerous. It is dangerous because yes, we want to uplift our women. That's the right thing to do so that men and women do maintain equality. But at the same time, by raising the girls, we are forgetting about our boys.
Do people know that feminism is for boys as well? Ah!
Yeah, they want to solve inequality by enforcing more inequality. And if women were equal to men, then why do the girls need to be raised up so much?
I like how these women have like collectively all decided to ignore Roe v. Wade being overturned. Like it's like all of them agreed. They were like, that didn't happen, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah. What is this? What is going on? Am I losing it? Am I losing every marble I own?
Why? The only men that feminists like are men dressing as women and dominating their sports and just really reversing.
I need your help. I need you to help me get through this.
Have fun with men beating you in your sports, women, because guess what? You're not going to beat them. Have fun. I never even felt unequal, so I don't even know what the problem is. I feel like a lot of people just...
You need to be less than equal, bro. Okay, I'm going to say it, dude. You do not deserve women's rights. You have not earned them, okay? I'm sorry. You are just an epitome of women's wrongs. No, dude. Mm-mm. What are you doing here?
Reason to be upset and outraged. I also just don't identify with all these identity politics groups. I think they're being pit against each other.
You're a white woman. You probably care more about dog rights than like whether or not black people get shot in the street.
These different people by race, class, gender, everything, sexual orientation, and I look at people as individuals.
There's a difference between not appreciating men and pointing out the inequities that have been systemically put in place to favor men, especially white men, white straight men. There's a difference between hating men and pointing out that there are inequities.
I want to talk about this concept of protection. We're talking about good men who are protectors. Who are they protecting us from?
Bad men.
Bad men, exactly.
Yeah.
And
Or bad
so-
women. Bad
Right.
anybody.
I could
Could
drive
be
a car
anybody.
and
It was a rhetorical. I guess.
No,
in some ways
I
a
understand the point you were trying to
rhetorical
make. That's
question,
why I
right?
said what you wanted me to say.
Just shut the fuck up for 2 seconds. Nobody wants to hear your annoying ass fucking comments. Nobody cares. Just let her speak for 2 seconds.
Who benefits from men's bad behavior? Good men as well, right? They get to be positioned as the good guys.
Good apples.
They're the good apples. And that is predicated on the bad behavior of men.
Wow, she's actually spitting. Holy.
being a good person and protecting women. Who cares? We should not be praising people based off.
Look, this is the face of a dumb bitch who is realizing that her framework is crumbling around her. She's like, there's the good men. They're protecting us from bad men. No,
comparing them to bad people.
But I don't benefit from being a good girl. I don't get
you're a good feminist, right? I'm sure people love what you have to say as a feminist.
Oh my God, what is this cope?
They're feminists, agree with it, and are like, yes, go girl
There
boss.
are
They
good
do.
people on earth and bad people on earth. We're always going to
What
have
was that random ass strawman? Well, people are nice to you because you're a good feminist. This woman just collectively forgot how like feminists have been treated just throughout time.
Would never change. It's in every animal kingdom. So we need the good man to protect us from the bad man.
To go off of what you said, because you said when women are sexually assaulted, they turn to another man to protect them. I work as a sexual assault and domestic violence counselor. I work with rape.
I think what she's about to say, by the way, is that like realistically speaking, most victims of sexual assault and most victims of rape, the perpetrators tend to be someone these women knew. It's very rare that, or it is not in like the majority that women get assaulted or raped by strangers, by complete strangers. This like good man, bad man shit is just fucking stupid nonsense.
Rape victims every single day. They don't turn to men to protect them. They don't.
I didn't say they turn to them. I was saying they potentially can, if you're walking home alone at night and
I
you're
don't
afraid.
turn to another man. I don't. I turn to other women.
Yeah, I appreciate men that, like, I love a man that knows.
Damn, she put her in her place. Holy. And she's completely right, by the way. She's completely right. Women in like actual like conflict turn to other women to protect them, to help protect them.
His place. Build the house. Yeah. Repair that. Because I'm a goddess. Like, if you need to hold your weight in the relationship. Like, I appreciate men. I love men. Like, just like you said, you have a husband, you want to cook for your husband, you make sure that he's good. Men have roles in society as well. Feminist is anything you want it to be.
I love her. I love her.
A woman, I am promiscuous because I'm a feminist, but you can also be conservative because I'm a feminist. Modern day feminism is about you and what you make it and not what someone 60 years ago said it was.
Exactly.
It's men because they aren't raping. Like,
I agree with everything you just said.
You're agreeing with us.
I agree with you fully.
The same exact thing. Like,
yeah,
that's
but I
actually
disagree
the
with the
movement.
prompt because I do appreciate men. I don't think that feminists don't appreciate men. I think that's not true.
Like the person who taught me to be the feminist that I am was my father. Yeah. My father did not raise me to believe that I was less than because I was a woman. He raised me to understand that I am societally disadvantaged, but he told me that I was going to rise above that.
My household, my mom was so strong.
God, they're spitting. Like, this is my problem, by the way, chat. Like, this is my problem with like the anti really anything most of the time. It's just a reactionary position where you just straw man your opponent over and over and over again. Well, no, feminists don't appreciate men. 4 feminists walk up. We all appreciate men. Well, we're not talking about you guys. We're talking about the other feminists. Are they in the room with us now? These other feminists who hate men. Can you show them to me? Where are they? It doesn't exist.
My dad became so emasculated that he cannot do anything. He stopped working. He became just like a couch potato, right? Why she just went out there and kill it. And we are destroying family, as we know, because look at me. I'm in my 30s. I'm not settled down. I don't have children. I don't have this family unit.
Why do women have to become unbelievably passive actors and become the stereotype of a woman for the men in their relationship to feel like doing something? That's dumb. That's a really dumb idea. That women need to become powerless in order for men to actually feel like that they have to go get a job or something. Like, what?
That I want so terribly, because no matter how hard I tried, that feminism that I was raised with always tend to overshadow my relationship, because in my head I know best, right? Like, I know what's right. I know, because I saw it growing up. I saw it modeled to me growing up. Like, a woman knows everything. We're so powerful.
But the
We're so
idea
strong.
that men are supposed to be the head of the household, do you understand that that is killing men?
That's killing men.
It is killing men.
Well, let them die, because they need to go back to working.
That's crazy. That's crazy that she says that she appreciates men so much and that feminists don't appreciate men at all. And yet she's the one saying that they should go die because they need to go work. But it's the feminists who hate men, by the way. But it's the feminists who hate men, by the way, though. That's insane, dude. That is crazy.
The pressure of it, you mean, right? The pressure?
The pressure of it is destroying their mental health. That's why men are 6 times more likely to commit suicide than women are, especially men in committed relationships. Men in their 40s that are married with families are the highest risk for suicide.
But it's killing men because we have generations and generations of boys who were not raised to be men and rise to that occasion.
Bitch, we're talking about 40-year-old men, okay? That means, let's be conservative here, okay? 40-year-old men must have been born, let's say, 1980, which means their parents had to have at least been born in the 60s. At least. Either the 50s or the 60s. I disagree that there were people born in the 50s not telling men to go fucking die in war. You're telling me the Gen Xers raised by boomers weren't raised to be masculine enough? That's crazy. I don't believe you. I don't believe that grandpa knew how to raise boys without giving them mental illness. Sorry.
Men, because we are not in a position capitalistically where we can have men be the one single head of the household, the bread earner, the decision maker. We are no longer in the 1950s. Our economy is not able to handle that kind of nuclear family with the man being the head of the household, the stay-at-home moms and the 2.5 children.
I want to clarify, I'm not a stay-at-home mom.
No,
I do work,
I understand.
and so I do have perspective. When you are in a long-term marriage or relationship with a partner of anyone, yes, you're going to have disagreements, but you also have to understand that each person in that partnership does have roles, because that is how a healthy family functions.
Yeah, but the difference is you guys are trying to make it about God assigning those roles. No one ever said anything that, like, partners can't have roles in a relationship. The only thing that feminists say is you decide those roles, and that is a decision that you make between you and your partner. Who does this thing? Well, that's for you guys to decide. Who does this thing? Well, again, that's for you guys to decide. That's your relationship. You decide it how you want to. Just because you're a man doesn't mean you should go fucking die in war and, like, know how to, like, fix cars and, like, kill all the bugs or whatever.
Only women should make laws about women's bodies.
So, oh God, I'm gonna, like, post cringe. I agree on the principle that, like, women should be the ones making laws about their bodies because men making laws is stupid. I disagree with, like, the moral relativism. It's just a very gotcha question. Like, obviously, I think that there are going to be lots of men who have reasonable, like, takes about the topic, and you don't need to be a woman, or you don't need to have, like, a uterus to be able to make, like, to be able to come to the correct conclusion about what should be allowed and what should not be allowed. However, I get why the question is the way that it is. It's just bait is the problem.
I'm going to add a minor caveat to this and not say that, like, entirely just women should make laws about women's bodies. And I think it's more important that people who are educated on the female body are the people who are allowed to make laws about the female body.
God, can she just stop spitting for 2 seconds? Because that's correct. I just don't want people who don't know anything about basic human biology making law. Like, dude, can you believe that there are 2 whole Andys out there who are making laws about women's bodies? There are people who think that women orgasms are fake and they are making decisions about our bodies. That is terrifying. Are you fucking kidding me?
We shouldn't have lawmakers making laws stating, oh, abortion is completely illegal, even if it's an ectopic pregnancy, you can reinsert that fetus. No, you're killing people if you make that kind of stupid law.
It doesn't mean that any of our male lawmakers can't be involved.
And frankly, I think they need to be a little bit more involved. Some of them are slacking.
Yes.
They are letting me down.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
you know, I think there are a lot of men who hold a lot of power, who are on our side, who are not doing enough.
Yeah.
I want to say it's funny because I think you all spoke for us, because I think you all agreed that everyone should be involved in making these laws. We need men. You see how simple that was?
And men can be women these days.
Men can't be women if
I'm begging these people just for 2 seconds to stop making it about trans people. It's like every single question, one of the anti-feminists needs to bring up the trans stuff every single time.
they actively identify as men. That's not a thing.
I currently identify as a man.
Okay, then you're a man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Like, literally, what was she trying to prove with that?
Shouldn't the originators of that bill talking about our bodies be women?
Answer that? Can y'all?
No. I don't think we should think about men versus women. I think we should have intelligent.
It's not about men versus women. Of course, men are going to be involved with creating laws and putting laws into place. But when we're talking about the language, when we're talking about verbiage for these laws, shouldn't a woman be, multiple women preferably, be
involved?
Yeah, be at the forefront of what these laws look like for us.
I think it's less about a man versus a woman and more about the way society is now.
Come on, go ahead, drop the transphobia. It's coming. I know it is coming.
Versus 50 years ago, people that you didn't even vote for, that are spending lifelong terms in Congress and such. You know, that's in the Supreme Court. That's more of an issue to me than worrying about if a man or a woman.
Does this woman think that 50 years ago, anyone you wanted to be in Congress was in Congress? What?
Wrote this law or bill.
There's checks and balances to our government,
checks
but
and
I wanted to
balances,
ask you, would you, I'm a woman, I'm 100% pro-life.
Oh, you're a woman now?
I identify
She's
right
gender
now.
fluid.
I'm switching back.
Okay, cool.
No, very fluid by the hour. And I am very pro-life. You're okay with women like me making these laws? Because you disagree with the outcome there. I'm assuming you're pro-choice, right?
But the law is, if we're talking about Roe v. Wade, right?
Yeah,
The
as an example.
law is about, it's not about your ideal of pro-life. It's about abortion. It's about bodily autonomy. If you don't want to get an abortion, fine. That's what it's all about. It's your choice.
Oh my God, she cooked her. She cooked her so hard she didn't have a response. Fucking roasted and toasted, dude. Jesus. Does anyone in chat, I told you guys there would be a quiz today. Does anyone in chat know what the Supreme Court's job is? What is like the official job title? Because what you guys are saying is true, but I'm talking about the official job title. Okay, someone said it in the chat. Because I see a lot of people saying upholding capital and blah, 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 blah. And yes, all of this stuff is true, but their job is to interpret the law. Their job is to read something, some precedent, some whatever, and say, we think that the law, what we think the law means here is this. You're not allowed to, as a Supreme Court, just be like, well, I think abortion should be illegal, so let's make it illegal now. It's, does the Constitution show in some way that women have the right to get abortions? This poor dumb fuck, not her, not this woman, the one before her, like the conservative woman, pro-life woman, she literally doesn't understand how the Supreme Court works because she unironically thinks you appoint some Supreme Justices and they randomly choose what positions they want to have. Insane.
Question, should there be laws about women's bodies where there was no women involved? Because there certainly are.
Right, but we live in a system of government where there are states' rights, and I live in California, and guess what? I don't agree with anything our governor is doing. I don't agree with the majority that is in our state legislature, yet I live here and I choose to live here, and if I have a problem with the laws, then I have the opportunity to move to a different state.
So just fuck all the people who don't have the opportunity to move to a different state.
Everyone
then.
has opportunity to work, to
They
make
don't.
a life for themselves here in America.
They
What
don't,
I
though.
love about
That's
America
crazy. That's crazy. You actually think America's a real meritocracy. That's crazy that you are so brainwashed. That's insane.
is that this is the only place on earth that you can.
The US is the only place on earth. Dude, I would be so mad if I had her as a mom. I would be so mad. Can you imagine? Actually, some of you in chat probably don't even have to imagine, because some of you probably have parents like this who are unironically like, America is the best country in the world, brother. We have meritocracy, unlike these communists, unlike these liberal cities. I just want to die, dude. I hate it so much.
A single mom who, you know, didn't have the support she needed to really mother me. So by the time I was 15, I moved out of her home. And I lived with a boyfriend at the time. I fought my school board for better sex education. I fought my senator when he voted to repeal funding for Title X and birth control access, the funding I relied on. And I told him, why would you deny me the American dream? And I shared with him that birth control was helping me to be successful, to go on to higher education. And now I'm on a full ride at Columbia University. I'm the first in my family to go to college. And in large part, that is because of access to birth control.
You guys mentioned that, you know, not everyone has a bootstrap. And this is why feminism is such a weird topic to have in this particular country, because I'm from a developing country, I'm from Nigeria. You know, although my parents were quite successful, thankfully, but I grew up around poverty. I saw it every single day. And so to come to this country, to have to start over and make something of ourselves, and I see immigrants do it all the time. When you say things like, oh, I was raised by a single mother, or, you know, most people don't have bootstraps, you're in America. That's like, this is the place to do it. This is the place to do it. Find that boots, honey, and put it on.
No one's saying that there aren't challenges. We're saying that this is the best place
to do it.
have that challenge.
And I quickly want the challenges are not distributed equally.
Nobody said that.
I'm sorry, chat. I didn't explain what I was doing. I need to regain some of my brain cells by looking at my cats. Because I think my organs are this close to failing if I don't do this. It's just people that have been convinced that like the US meritocracy actually works because they have survivorship bias. That's it. That's literally it.
I mean, just somebody did.
To say that only women should make decisions about women's bodies is completely unrealistic.
I have to believe that there is a future where that is possible.
Well, of course there's a future. More women than ever are serving in our government. Of course there's a future. So of course women always have a seat at the table.
You're at Columbia. Look at you. You moved out at 15. You're at Columbia.
Yeah. Personal achievements do not mean that the system is working. Just because there are some successful women doesn't mean that sexism is over. Just because there are successful Black people doesn't mean that racism is over. My God.
Yeah, but when I graduated from UC Berkeley and I was in my lecture halls, there were 2 other Black people, and it's 400 people in here. Like, that makes me uncomfortable.
It's not that we look at everything through an oppressive lens. It's that many of us hold different identities that allow society to continue to oppress us. A friend of mine had to travel across state for an abortion. She had the ability to select between paying for her disability, the things that she needs for her disability, or traveling for an abortion. Like, you guys don't have to think about that.
But that
she
was
has
her
decision
decision
to have sex.
No,
Unless it wasn't,
she
then
was
I'm
being
agree.
raped.
No, then I agree with
raped.
you. Then I agree with you.
Okay,
But I shouldn't have to tell you that story for you to understand that there are certain things that you have not experienced that oppress other people. Oh, okay, you're just traumatized enough for me to understand that maybe things are hard.
Feminism that doesn't include
God,
trans
they
women
picked such
isn't
great women.
feminism.
You surprised to see me here?
No.
Okay, good.
God, she really thinks she's like so special. She thinks she's such a special snowflake. Oh my God, dude. This is like the most annoying person you know. And all of these women are so respectful.
You know, it's really important to include trans women and trans people and gender nonconforming people, which, by the way, I am gender queer myself. I don't actually identify as a woman, it's really important that those of us who do have privileges like speak up for trans women in the community, especially because they're the most at risk for hate crimes.
I also want to just level set and say that we are having this conversation without trans women. Right? We are sitting here today having
we know that?
conversation without
For sure?
trans women.
I identify as
She's on a
trans.
I hate Ariel Spaghetti. I hate this woman.
Hold on, she identifies as non-binary and she's on a feminist panel.
my pronouns-
So maybe she doesn't belong here either. They don't belong here.
Plot twist, I am biologically female and I'll never deny that. I lived as a woman for most of my life. I am 31. I only came out a couple of years ago. I spent a lot of time, the majority of my life in these spaces with women. That does give me a kind of unique perspective now being a trans non-binary person.
There's an issue with categorizing womanhood as a means of female. Earlier, it was mentioned by somebody on the anti-trans side about trans women coming in and taking over sports and things like that, which is just not true.
That is true.
It's not.
It is. I can show you a number of cases. There might be people that also haven't.
No, I can show you a number.
Trans women retain 30% of their biological advantage.
That is not
if
true.
they went through male puberty. Yes, it is.
That is
yes, it is.
That is not.
Let's not argue it. That's not even the prompts. We're not going to argue about that.
Because you're wrong.
If you are a trans woman and you walk out in the world and you are seen as a man, you do not belong in women's spaces. I don't care what anybody says. I think that's ridiculous, and I think even trans women that have gender dysphoria that go through transition will agree with me.
This makes me so incredibly uncomfortable that we're even having this conversation.
You could go back over there if you really wanted to.
Ooh.
She's so annoying. She's so ugly. Ugh. Sorry, when I say like she's so ugly in reference to shit like that, what I mean is like she is so like her personality is so ugly. I'm not talking about how she looks physically. I'm saying like she's just her soul is ugly. Like she's so vile. Like ew. Oh my god, you're so gross. Ugh. I'd hate to be in a room with her in case she might infect me with her anti-empathy. God. She seems slimy. I really don't like it. I really don't like it. It's so gross.
Can people exist as who they are?
Absolutely.
It sounded like you were saying if a trans woman doesn't look like what you perceive as looking like a woman, they shouldn't be in feminist spaces.
I didn't say that. I said they shouldn't be in female spaces.
Okay.
Not feminist spaces.
Okay.
I think women...
I disagree with that, but
that's
okay.
fine. It makes sense to biologically classify people. It also makes sense to socially classify people.
There are women who biologically cannot produce. There are females, people assigned female at birth, who biologically cannot produce. Are you saying that those female women should not be able to
Getting my
have say
labs
in
to
those
stow
laws?
smiley face.
Dude, she fucking roasted and toasted her. This is my favorite thing. My favorite thing is when conservatives are like, well, the major difference is that like trans women can't give birth to babies. And it's like, you are really outing yourself as being someone who only sees women as like baby machines. That's really crazy.
As women and not being seen as trans women. Is they're changing the definition of women and expecting everybody to go along with that. And that affects me, yes they are. And that affects me directly. You say trans women are women are trans women. It's a very different experience.
Trans women are women.
We're just gonna agree to disagree with that. If you ask feminists at a women's march what a woman is, they can't even define it. How can you protect something and empower something that you don't even know the actual definition of?
Well, I will say J.K. Rowling.
It's crazy because if you put Areola Spaghetti in like a room with a camera and a microphone, she will just go crazy with it. She'll just talk about all this insane shit. But then once you actually put her up against like an actual sentient human being, her arguments all crumble. They literally crumble. Like when she has to actually defend her positions, she doesn't know what the fuck to do. Who? Areola Spaghetti. You
Called
guys
herself
know.
a feminist and was canceled for not being pro-trans, which is kind of overtaking and reversing some of the work feminists have done in the past.
She's a billionaire.
Well, they criticize her.
Fine.
She's fine.
Her billionaire feelings are hurt.
Well, they criticize her.
What do trans women take away from women in the feminist movement?
The definition of words and what that means and how that affects us directly.
How does it affect you? How does it affect you?
Can you expand on that?
Yes, when you change the word woman, legally it has implications. Sexually it has implications.
Okay, tell me some of the implications.
The woman
Directly-
has changed throughout histories throughout different cultures. Indigenous people have had different genders, different ways of looking at gender. The Torah specifically has 8 different genders, and we have recognized that for over 3,000 years. You're denying anybody's...
This bitch doesn't have a single thought in her brain, dude. She's really living up to like for someone who's trying to be super counterculture, she's literally just being like the bimbo. She's wearing the pink bimbo colors. She's no thoughts up there. She's like, no, you know what? I'm not going to be like all the other women. I'm going to be a dumb woman. Okay. Just incredible.
Culture that does not agree with your perception and your worldview, because you hold so highly onto your identity and you see it as an attack on who
So
you
do
are.
all of on sexual orientation.
So do feminists as a
But
whole,
it's nothing to do with sexual
It has exactly to do with sex. When you change the word woman and a lesbian is a woman that is attracted to women, how is that not directly affecting us?
Huh?
What?
No, does she think that like the lesbian police are going to show up at her door? Hello? Open up. We heard that you are having sex with a trans woman, and we personally don't consider trans women to be women, so we're revoking your lesbian card. Like, what does she think is going to happen? It doesn't impact you. Just have sex with whoever you want to have sex with.
Defines a woman is being
don't say
born
XX
with
chromosomes.
biological women's parts, and that is what a woman is. And trans women are individuals who choose to live their lives as women, and I honor that, and everyone deserves dignity and respect, and I mean that. But at the same time, there are universal truths, and we have, as a society, gotten to this confusing, tangled place where there's your truth, your truth, your truth, your truth.
Why can't these people respond to this woman? The other woman just said, you know, the Torah has like 8 different genders, and she just in one ear, out the other. You guys are trying to redefine it. That's not the truth. Says who? There is no such thing as universal truths, you dumb whore. Please. Doesn't exist.
There is one objective truth in what we are.
Can you explain to me the women in Guatemala who are born female, who are assigned female at birth, and then during puberty grow penises?
I can't explain it because I don't know anything about that.
That sounds like an intersex condition.
You try to, again, but how feminists always try to tell us how we should live our life. I said I was a
No one is saying how you should live your life.
I don't believe that.
I don't see that. I mean, what you've been saying, I can't see any traces of feminism in what you're saying.
My mother is literally.
We heard a lot about your mom, but what about you?
I am a woman. Looking at me, I am a woman, born and raised a woman. Why are we trying to write women, born biological women? Why are you trying to write us out of history?
You're not
You guys
being
keep saying
written out of history. Do these people know the percentage of trans people that exist on the planet? Like, isn't it the case that, like, any type of queer person, you are less than 3% of the population? Like, trans people are, like, what, 1% of the population? Maybe less? It's really fucking small. No one is being replaced, you dumb motherfuckers.
Biological reality of male and female. Scientists do not agree with you.
Scientists that you choose to agree with. I mean, you can find a study and a scientist to back up anything you want to prove these days.
I choose to do peer-reviewed studies and not ones that are backed by political agenda. And I'm sorry that my peer-reviewed studies tend to agree with the fact that trans women are women and that biology, it does not exist in a binary. Never has and it never will.
This woman is she's actually just spitting like a motherfucker. What is this fucking question, dude? Like, I secretly crave men's approval? What is this weird ass question?
Men's approval has kept me safe in so many ways. Being desirable, being
What is this
fuckable
question?
has kept me safe many a time. And it's no secret. I guess that's where I disagree. It's no secret that sometimes men's approval is what stands between me and safety.
I firmly believe that the reason why I waited so long to come out with my transness is because I was afraid of losing male approval. It is so embedded into our society. I really pushed myself to present in a way that wasn't authentic to me for men.
I'm trying to unlearn this like very actively and trying to fight for nobody's approval but myself. Like, because it's not even that I should have men's approval, or I should need men's approval or women's approval. I should need my own approval.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, this prompt I think might be surprising for some folks to see us sitting here.
Yeah, because we're like so feminist,
sure.
but like,
but it's a reminder that this work doesn't happen in a vacuum.
These women are being so honest, and these women are being fucking liars. I promise you. Maybe not areola spaghetti, but the rest of these women, they will fucking do anything for a man's approval. Anything.
And that because I am implicated in what is happening, right? In the issues, I am implicated in the issues. That's why I do the work. Yeah. Because I am impacted by them.
I've never thought of a moment where I thought to myself, oh, I wish that man would.
First of all, you're a fucking liar. You're literally a liar. Every single person who is attracted to other people wants those other people to find them sexy. It doesn't matter who you are. The only exception to the rule might be like some ace people who are not interested in being perceived. Ace people who don't want to be perceived, I see you. Ace people who do want to be perceived, I also see you. If you're a straight man, you want women to find you sexy. If you are a cis woman attracted to men, you want at least the men that you're interested in to find you sexy. Second of all, seeking men's approval doesn't mean that they find you sexy. In fact, most times when you're talking about men's approval, you're talking about like that they respect you as another individual, that they view you as another person worth respect. Not that they think that you're sexy. That's not what that means.
I think that's also why, with my platform now that I switched from a raging feminist to femininity, which I was, and you can't tell me what I was and who I was. I had the shaved head, the armpit hair, all of it.
What? Why does it matter? Who cares? I don't give a fuck about your aesthetic feminism where you shaved your hair and you grew out your armpit hair. Who asked?
Did you really?
Yes, I did. And when I went from that to that, now I teach women how to like dress modern and cover up and be feminine and soft and all of that.
Who are you dressing modern and modest for?
For myself, because it empowers me. I am Nigerian first and foremost, and because of that, in our culture, we've always been very modest. We didn't even have a word for it. It's just that's how women.
It's for me. Proceeds to list off cultural reasons. This woman is actually like lying to herself. She's literally lying to herself. It's totally for me, by the way. Don't mind the fact that my culture encourages people to do this and society encourages my people to do this. Okay, dude.
We layer on top of layers on top of layers. And I remember when I first, became a feminist and like moving and I would show skin, I always felt so uncomfortable.
Then why did you do it? But here's the thing, if you felt uncomfortable doing it, why did you do it? Being a feminist doesn't mean you have to fucking shave your hair and grow out your armpit hair and be naked. That doesn't mean anything.
Did you feel uncomfortable with showing your skin? I'm not saying that that's wrong. I'm just asking out of curiosity why you felt uncomfortable, like what the root of that discomfort
Alexa's
was.
about to roast.
Who I am.
But I also think we'd be denying reality if we said when we put clothes on the morning, we didn't think about the way that we would navigate the world in them, right? The way that people would perceive us and think about us. And it's definitely worth knowing.
You know what?
That, like,
I fucking despise Jubilee, and Jubilee is like one of the worst websites on the planet and one of the worst YouTube channels for sure. However, I'm very happy that every single one of the feminists that they picked on this panel is like so fucking cool. Every single one of the feminists that they picked is so smart, so well spoken, and so cool. I would have lost my chill. I'm not even gonna front.
Clothing choices are also about access to power, access to moving through spaces, being seen as acceptable in certain spaces, right?
Like covering up, not necessarily because you feel like that empowers you, but covering up because it's a sense of safety. Like so many.
Well, not only that, but I think if you cover up or wear more clothing, you will get more approval and more respect from men because men will be like, oh, wow, you're not just another slut, right? And that emotion feels really good. To get that approval, it's really quite addicting. And so I think a lot of people end up confusing it for like, well, this is what I want to do. It's like, is it what you want to do? Or is it that like you don't like the shame that society makes you experience when you wear less? And you really like the way that society is nice to you when you wear more? And these are difficult questions to unpack.
Like one of the things that we have to, with my job, we have to correct officers on, like when an assault victim comes forward, like they're not allowed to ask, what were you wearing? Like,
Yeah, it's bad.
but that's
bad.
because it's very bad. It's very dehumanizing because it implies that
It was their fault.
that it was their fault.
I think we can all agree on
Yes.
that. I was assaulted fully clothed when I was only 12 years old. So,
That's
you know,
actually-
trust me, I know.
We're gonna have a prompt that has to do with this.
Cool.
Yeah, I just don't really care about men. Like, men are not a part of my day. When I wake up in the morning, I think about how to be the baddest bitch. how
Okay,
to-
she's just like me for real, dude. She's just like me. Okay. I haven't always been like this, and there was a very long period of time in my life where I desperately needed other people's approval. But I'm so happy with the person I am now, where I'm like, you know what? I do what I want to do, and I do what's beneficial to me in the way that I want it to be. You know what I mean?
So if that's looking like you from head to toe or showing a little cleavage, like it's gonna be what it is. And men are gonna like, the men I attract, they like me because I am like no one else they've met. Like they've never really experienced this new person. It's like you don't know what their approval is. Like especially when it comes to things like race and preference and like nothing that I do is gonna really be approved by men ever. So I might as well just do me.
But I do just want to say that men's approval, once again, it's not just about if they want to date you or marry you or have sex with you. It is about if they want to hire you, if they want you to be a part of their organization or their school. And so when we talk about wanting men's approval, we're talking about if they want to hire me, if they want to let me have access to that social mobility, and if they will allow me to be safe walking down the street or in a bar. Men's approval is so much deeper and more systemic than just romantic.
Are we allowed to, I have to agree with that, even though we're on the opposite end of this, because, you know, I'm a blogger and I write about women's, like, makeup and, you know, for example, Dove is one of the brands that I am the face of. And when I go into those meetings, they are white men. And although I do not go into it thinking, oh my God, I should seek their approval, I do know that the way I dress conservatively gets me those checks.
And probably as a black woman, how you wear your hair as well.
Oh yeah, they love this hair. Oh, they love it. They love it. They love it.
I was trying to push you before.
No, I do that. But that's also how I was raised, and it's cultural. Nigerian women are very conservative by nature.
By nature, Jesus. Yeah, I mean, I think every single woman in every single space that is male dominated has to constantly be aware of the fact that they need men's approval to go anywhere. I think streaming is a great example. There are no female streamers that are allowed to be successful if they don't like the top men streamers. I mean, the fact that like Pokey is like the only, like Pokey and Amaranth are literally the only popular streamers in like the top 100. It's crazy. It's actually crazy. I'm sorry. I was just talking about on Twitch. You need men's approval. It doesn't matter as long as you are in a space that is primarily male. You need men's approval.
It's rational for women to fear men.
I think it is a bit absurd that we live in a society where women have to fear men, but I think given the society we live in, it's rational for you to be a woman and be afraid of men. Given the information that we have that like the percent chance you are to be assaulted by a man, the percent chance that like you will end up in uncomfortable positions with men, that like society teaches men to keep going and like no doesn't mean no. I think you have to. It is the rational decision there to be afraid of men. But I think it's insane that we have a society that's like this, that we have to force women to be afraid of men for their own safety. Like that's crazy.
Working with sexual assault and domestic violence victims every single day, it has completely just reopened my mind and my trauma, because I am a sexual assault survivor myself, which is why I got into the work that I do. It's every single woman, almost every single woman has some sort of story where she was in a room or in a space with a man and that man made her feel unsafe. And if every single woman has a story like that, it's rational.
Absolutely.
And I think that's why, again, I know I'm bringing this back to the trans issue.
Dude, I should have made a challenge watching this. I should have taken a shot every single time trans women were brought up when the question wasn't about trans women. Because you know what, guys? You know what I can tell you? I can tell you that I have never been assaulted by a single trans woman. You know what I can tell you? I've been assaulted by at least 5 cis men. So I really don't understand why we're bringing up trans women. Why are we bringing up trans women? I've also never heard of a woman in my life who has been assaulted by a trans woman. You want to know why? It's because it's the trans women that are being assaulted, not the trans women that are doing the assaulting.
That's again why I think it's important to define what a woman or man or male or female is. Like if it's just something in your head, then why do we logically have to be afraid of?
What does it matter if someone, if a cis man is going to assault you? It really doesn't matter if he randomly says, well, actually, I'm a woman. It's still assault. Like, what are you talking about?
Of that specific thing, if it's just something, a gender in your
cares.
head.
So-
There are biological differences that can make us fearful.
I disagree that like the biological differences are the thing that should make you afraid of men. I think the social stuff is way more terrifying. I think that the fact that men are socialized to be angry, the fact that men are that anger is the only acceptable emotion, the fact that men exist in like a society that promotes rape culture. I think that, like, for example, like no doesn't actually mean no. You should keep asking. Like, I'm afraid of that stuff. Like, that's the stuff that I'm scared of. I'm not afraid of like men being necessarily stronger. I'm afraid of someone being stronger than me, more trained than me, and also having these ideas about consent that are incorrect. That's what's scary. Strength is not inherently scary. I've never been afraid of like biker bros, but I have been afraid of like random ass frat bros. Like, that's scary to me.
Ways that are different than women.
Yes and no, but there's
there's
absolutely a different perception of a trans woman than a man. Like when, in my experience, when women are with, like in the same room as trans women, they're not as fearful of like, oh my God, this person could assault me, because the likelihood of trans people assaulting women is so small. Like, it's practically
And there's
not.
a reason for
There's
that.
a reason for that.
I agree with that.
Isn't it?
Actual trans women. My point.
Trans women, period, not actual or inactual.
No, there is a thing. People that are claiming the trans identity but are not trans.
Just shut the fuck up, Areola. Shut the fuck up.
That's true.
Men are not only scary because of their biological difference, they're strong or whatever, right?
Oh my God, she's gonna spit. She's gonna spit. She's gonna spit, guys. Get ready. She's gonna be spitting.
Men can be abusive, harmful, and get away with it.
It's the systemic power.
It's the systemic power that is scary.
The reason that 90% of sexual assault cases go unreported is because of like roughly the 8% that are reported. Only 2% of them actually face consequences.
And we seem
I
to
think we all
agree on
agree.
that.
Yeah.
Everyone agrees.
Right.
Some of my deepest, I honestly would say probably my deepest trauma is actually not my physical sexual assault. It was the manipulation that I faced in the workplace by someone who was not necessarily physical with me, but they manipulated me. They used their power to paint me in a light and push me out of that job that I loved.
I'm so sorry you experienced that.
I agree, like the stats will say a trans woman, which I would say is a man, a trans woman, it is less likely, like very unlikely to attack. But it's not even, it's really kind of the principle. It's like, but if they were to, they would beat me up.
What do I say? What am I supposed to do with that? She's just like making people up to get mad at. She's like, okay, well, trans women don't attack cis women, but if they were to, they would do a very good job. I don't understand. Like, this is so stupid. This is so dumb. Like, literally, how is this anything other than recycled bigotry? Yeah, well, you don't understand. Like, gay people want to get married, and you know the next thing? What does it mean? Gay people marrying dogs. You made up a person to get mad at. You literally just made them up. They are not real. This person is not real. This person that's trying to marry their dog is not real. If anything, it's actually probably white women like you. So I don't even know what you're talking about.
Further, which is that if they were to, and then the police were to come, what would their experience be like versus yours as a white woman?
I'm not talking about the cops. It's just me and
But
the
the
trans
cops are
woman.
a factor.
I actually hate the cops. Just saying.
I actually voted for Obama, and I would have voted for him a third time if I could have.
I don't like cops.
If you see a male person and you
Dude,
see...
this poor woman is trying to contain herself. Did you see the face she made when this woman said, I hate cops?
I don't like
Look at
cops.
If you...
Look at her. She's like, Lord, give me strength.
See
Lord,
a
give
male
me
person
strength.
And you see a trans woman, like, what does that have equal amounts of fear for you, or is there a difference?
So my thing, I'm trying to focus in on a trans woman wants to beat me up.
Why are trans women wanting to beat you up?
No, that's not. I'm saying hypothetical. It's a hypothetical. I'm just saying, like, can we all agree that I would get my ass beat?
But
you would also get your ass beat by like the other women here. That's just because you're a weak ass bitch. Like, what is the problem? Like, I don't understand.
No, I mean,
yes, maybe,
so
but then, how would the experience be outside of just that
Why are we
hypothetical
going- I'm
vacuum?
not even talking about
No,
this.
I want to finish my thought because
that's not the prompt, though.
No, but it is the prompt because we're talking about, we can't talk about this in a hypothetical vacuum.
What's the prompt?
The prompt was that it's rational for women to fear men, but you're bringing in trans women when the discussion is men.
It's not about physicality for me. It's about power.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
is that,
and that's what you are
and
saying.
that's what I'm saying is that that situation is so unlikely, and it is unlikely because of the difference in societal power.
I
that
have
you
no
hold
idea, Doc
over a
Platypus.
trans woman.
That's not exactly true.
For people who love to
I understand what you're saying.
love to criticize other people for assuming genders incorrectly, you love assuming how things are going to happen and like predict the future and how situations play out and how I'm treated by everyone else.
Well, you're hypothetical. That's a hypothetical. You're also
assuming what would happen to me.
You're assuming they would beat you up.
A man would beat me up. Yes. Yes.
You're assuming a trans woman would beat you up.
We'll be specific. A male.
Male, yes.
Better?
That's all I'm saying. You want to avoid answering that part and going to this bigger, broad
What's
thing
the
to
question?
avoid. If there's a biological man, a trans woman.
I disagree with you on the definition here.
Biological male.
But I'm a biological
We'll say male or female and gender man or woman.
I'm a biological woman who is roughly of like not too big of difference of size. I could easily beat you up. So why are you more afraid of them than me when I present just as equal of a difference to you? It's because of your...
No, you obviously could beat me
No,
up
because
too, but a man would beat me up.
Thank you. Finally, someone did it, dude. Like, all of these women are based, I have to say, it's hard to pick because I love them all. And I mean, some of these aren't women, but she's spitting. She just knows the perfect arguments all the time.
No, you said this 5 minutes ago. Males, not men necessarily. Males create, what did you say, 90% of... Would you say males create 90% of the crimes?
I didn't say that.
There was something like that.
I said I was talking about reports of sexual assault, and that does actually include male assault victims. And most of
them are males.
And most of the male assault victims, their assaulters were also men.
That's my point. Right.
Hi. Okay, so let's start by saying the conversation that I just listened to, I don't disagree with much of what we were talking about. When this prompt was asked, I interpreted the prompt to say, to communicate, it is rational for women to fear all men. I know that the word all was not in there, but that's how I sort of understood it, which I don't think it's rational for women to fear all men. I think that's very tragic. We know that there are bad men, we know that there are very, very good men. And I personally think that the amount of good men exceedingly overwhelms the amount of bad men, but that's just my personal opinion. I also, quite frankly, fear women. I do. I fear how manipulative women can be to each other in the workplace. I fear how manipulative women can be to each other and how toxic women can be to each other when it comes to polarizing topics like we've discussed here, motherhood, other very incendiary topics.
The only women that have been toxic have been the anti-feminists, you dumb fuck. Yes, I will admit that I have been pretty toxic myself, but I am watching this as a passerby, okay? If I was in the conversation, I would be more polite, but I don't have to be polite because I'm a fucking streamer.
We're talking about physical abuse with men, and actually with emotional abuse, it's most common in lesbian couples.
Really?
So,
Yeah, that is actually...
You would know,
no,
you deal with it. It's
there
horrendous.
Is actually a statistic.
Horrendous.
Women are equally as likely to commit domestic violence. I genuinely, when I got into this work, I thought that it was going to be like, oh, just men commit domestic violence. No, women are
really
equally
bad.
as likely to commit domestic
But
violence.
why were you surprised by that?
Because I I had a different definition in my head of what domestic violence was before I got my training. Domestic violence is not just like punching, hitting,
Yes.
or physical
Yes,
violence. Oftentimes
queen.
it's emotional violence, psychological violence, sexual violence, financial violence, legal violence.
But why were you, with your original definition, the more violent definition of domestic
Like
violence?
physical
Why were
violence?
Yeah, physical violence. Why were you surprised that women, like?
I wasn't surprised that
Like
women
you
commit
assumed that
physical.
men would.
No, I wasn't
commit
surprised
more,
that
though.
women commit physical violence. Physical domestic violence. I assumed that under the I assumed that there was one definition of domestic violence, and that was physical. And statistics do show that men do commit physical domestic violence more than women do. That's that's just a fact. But
Like,
when you add in all other kinds
This
of
woman
domestic
is
violence.
so dumb. Like, she really thought, not this one, this one. She really thought she was doing something. She's like, well, why did you think that like men do the only physical violence? Why were you surprised that women physically assault people? And then the other person has to be like, no, you didn't fucking hear my sentence. I didn't say I was surprised that women physically abuse their partners. I was surprised that with the new definition, a better definition of domestic violence, women are just as likely to perform domestic violence as men are, because domestic violence also includes psychological abuse, mental abuse, financial abuse, and women are likely to do those as well as just as often as men are. But in terms of physical, I was right. So there was nothing to be surprised about. It's like, oh my God.
Women committed at equal rates.
Yeah.
That's a wrap on the group discussion. Take a breath for a second.
This was terrible. That was like one of the worst Jubilees I've ever seen, actually.